CIO News. I am Khushbu Soni, your host for the broadcast and chief editor at CIO News. This is our exclusive interview series on the topic of new age collaboration and digital customer experience, powered by Tata Communications. This is a recorded session and will be available on our website, that is cionews.co.in, and our CIO News LinkedIn handle. Let me dive in introducing my guest for today. He is Abdul Gani Imtiaz, Associate Vice President, Information Technology and GRC at Personiv. Imtiaz has rich experience of 18 years and skilled leadership and drafting profitable IT strategy for various organizations. He's worked with brands like John Kell's PPO Solutions, Futuresoft India, RR Financial, and many more. Imtiaz, it's an absolute pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for you.
Yes, I'm also accompanied by Jeyavelan S. He's the head of business collaboration for India and Mecca business at Tata Communications. And Jay has worked with various brands again like BT, Aircel, and many more. So Jay, once again, pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Khushbu. Thank you so much for you and the CIO News team. Maybe on behalf of Tata Communications, I welcome Imtiaz to this session. Thank you.
Thanks, Jay.
Imtiaz, so I wanted to, quickly put across the first question to you was if you can give us a quick brief about Personiv for our viewers, that would be great.
Sure. So Personiv is an international, contact center. So it's headquartered in Austin, USA. And recently, this Personiv is acquired by eClerx in last year, in December 2020. So it's been 1 year we are, as a subsidiary of, eClerx. So it's in Personiv it's been in market since so it has reached 30 years of experience under various, contact center and business process outsourcing works and services. So we have, multiple sites in. One is Coimbatore, one is in delivery, one is in Manila, one is in Gurugram, and one is in Sydney, Australia. And with the eClerx coming in, so we have a very rich and and have now larger scope of multiple and enhanced service deliveries that we can offer to our clients. And we are so Personiv is mainly is engaged with digital processing and digital marketing, back office, and sales and other technical support processes. So so and most so at the Gurugram site, which which I am supporting since 2011, is mainly engaged in voice businesses for sales and technical support in-house and out inbound and outbound. And and we have a partnership with Tata since 2011 for these voice technologies, whether it be anything, any setup. So we have been relinquishing on those the services that Tata is offering, so that we can provide seamless support to our seamless services to our clients, and that's pretty much it. Sure.
Great, awesome. Great to hear that from you, Imtiaz. Following to that is my next question. So I wanted to understand, how do you collaborate with your employees and customers in the current scenario? If you can share some insights on that.
Yeah, so collaboration in work environment has been always been an important aspect that we all need to have in place, and the collaboration solutions were always be in place before this pandemic. But when this pandemic happened, and work from remote is has increased to a larger extent, or to almost 100% of the workforce went to this working remotely environment. So that collaboration tool or monitoring tool or the other tools, has become significantly important to continue or to keep the services or the performance up, and to meet the clients' expectations. So for since how we have migrated, so since we have most of the processes are voice based, and we have to migrate it, the voice systems that we have or the infrastructure. So it is the combination of Tata's telephony infrastructures plus our voice applications like Cisco UCC or say Aspect or dialer systems or any other systems we have. So those were configured or lights or have some setup that works from for in premise only. So we have migrated to cloud-based, voice systems or the cloud-based version of those systems. Plus, we have introduced VDI, Citrix, and VMware Horizon to our, to our employees, all employees in uh, working from home. So those are the few, technology aspects. But for collaboration, we already have we are on 365 and we use Teams and OneDrive to collaborate, and we have Tata's integration, telephone integration on Teams. So those are few solutions that we are leveraging. But yeah, that is become more important to evolve those. So these like Zoom and Google Meet and these Teams, these solutions has grown very rapidly in this period. And you see their user base has increased many folds in this lockdown period.
Right.
Yeah.
Very true. And in fact, that has become one of the key priority.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, Jay can add on to this, while he's been interacting with a lot of other CIOs and IT leaders, maybe you can share the importance of, collaboration, unified collaboration in the current times, and what is the response that you've been getting around this?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Khushbu. Thanks for that. I think Imtiaz called out the critical aspect of it, right? Today, if you are looking at the total UCC space or the collaboration, business collaboration and connected services space, largely there are three applications we can call out. One is meeting, the other one is calling, the third one is the contact center, right? In the meeting space, be it your audio meeting or a web meeting or a video meeting, I think I should say it's 100% cloud today. I think nobody has got an on-prem bridge for their meeting platform. It's any one of the OEM solutions with telco like Tata Communications managed services. It's 100% cloud solutions. On the calling side, be it on enterprise calling or business applications calling, the calling is still moving to cloud. It is not 100% moved to cloud like what actually happened in the meeting space. And because obviously there are investment made already on the on-prem setup, enterprises already made it, be it before the pandemic or even after the pandemic, if they have to move the cloud application or the calling applications to the cloud, they are actually planning to do it only the critical portion of it or a critical size of the calling. It's not 100% cloud calling going to happen immediately. That's either an on-prem or a hybrid and gradually moving on to the cloud. Onto the contact center, which is the most interesting space and most dynamic space, I should say. Almost all the BPOs or telcos or even the BFSI segment, government segment, those who are actually extending the customer support through their contact centers or a call centers, they realize that there is a critical need when a situation like pandemic happen, there shouldn't be any experience to the customer should impact it, right? So to that extent that they already decided, if not almost 100% of it, a significant part of it, they would like to move to a hybrid part of it or on the cloud part of it. And this is exactly, Khushbu, what we've been seeing from the market, like while we engage with the CIO, their thought process across industry, be it BFSI or telcos or standalone BPOs, or even the government organizations for that matter. So this is how actually they are looking at it. And this is where it is. Cloud is 100% on the meeting side. There is nothing specifically any enterprises or organizations would like to have an on-prem solution for it. Calling is actually moving towards cloud, but just in the graduating space. Contact center has got more dynamic and more transaction. I would say that there are a lot of customers would like to move towards cloud. But when move to cloud is a strategy, it's not one solution fits everyone, right? So there has to be a specific requirement for that particular business. For Personiv, there could be a specific requirement, but for some other people, there could be a different specific requirement. So that specific, based on their business applications, client requirements, and the customer experience aspect, one has to decide the cloud migration strategy. So that's what at least we see from all the organizations that we've been engaging. And Tata Communication, as we heard from Imtiaz, is a known service provider in this space as a digital ecosystem player. And we are a trusted, regulatory compliant, the true digital ecosystem enabler, be it cloud migration or a digital transformation.
Right. Great insights. My next question is, Imtiaz, around, while Jay also pointed out extensive migration to cloud and on the hybrid model. So if you can throw some light about the cloud migrations, recent cloud migrations or adoptions that Personiv has done, and what is the current strategy that is being followed at your end?
Yeah. So definitely, so since the cloud is very much, pushing, trying to push into the, space since long, it's been, more than, I think, 10 to 15 years. And now with the new, with the new norms and the new, environment that all companies or organizations are getting into it to work from anywhere or a hybrid, work mode. So this cloud transition is going to happen in near future for everyone, and it has been gradually, like Jay said, right? So the voice part has been moving it very gradually, but not because this is for the specific requirement. We have one client which uses on-prem solutions. We have two other clients which uses cloud. So in most of our contact centers or the space, so we are currently having both the solutions to suffice one client's needs or the other's client need. And the plan for any IT leadership, the next 5-year roadmap will be for most of them will be moving it to either hybrid or to directly to cloud. That depends upon the complexity of their infrastructure and their client requirement. But this is gonna happen soon, and all organizations have already been started planning and working on that. So for Personiv, we have already planned it for a hybrid thing, and for 2 or 3 sites we have already migrated it our AD or the other different servers to cloud, some critical on premise, and the plan is to move it in next 3 to 4 years completely to to on cloud.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So also, if good to hear on the strategy, but if you can also highlight some real challenges that you faced in terms of, moving to cloud or the migration, migration from an on to cloud, yeah.
So we have always been, trying to, go on to, cloud, for the infrastructure piece or the hybrid piece, and we have been, discussing since long 2 years. So there are, few challenges. The first challenge is the client's, agreement. So some client want their data to be securely, placed in the, physically in the local data center. So there should not be any external physical access or the logical access given to their data. So one thing is security aspect that the cloud is always been fighting, and now since they have matured it, they are offering with the security certifications and security security tools or everything in place, infrastructure in place, so we can move it. So there was or has always been one challenge to move it to cloud 100% is the security requirement and the compliance that we need to put in. So in voice process there are many more compliances that we need to follow when you are calling to North America customers. So
Correct.
there will be UTR guidelines, there will be many other things.
Right.
So in that perspective, so we have for one client we don't want to move it, but yeah, for the other client or the rest of the process wherever we can move it, so we will we have already planned it and started our initiate started our initiative to move it whatever we can move it to cloud. So because there will be some cost savings also in cloud, or maybe not cost saving for a long term, but yes, it becomes this a recurring cost model, not the one time capital investment. So since we so the infrastructures that are getting expired or are due for the refresh or upgrade, so we are planning to move it to cloud as and when can, provided we have a you know we have a go ahead from client for their for their compliance and security guidelines.
Right.
That will be good. Yeah. So in fact, we are aware, and in fact, I just got updated by the team. The initiative that you've taken inside Personiv Imtiaz,
Yeah,
like consolidation of voice and telephony infrastructure to hybrid cloud, right? So
yeah,
that obviously would have resulted in some of the cost saving.
yeah,
The other thing is that with respect to the security aspect, which you actually
yeah,
highlighted, I understand that we actually introduced some least privileged access policies, and through which you were able to manage the annual breach remediation costs and so on. So this is what I actually and from the team. But these are all the best practices, at least I would say, across specifically to this industries as a process or a best practices they've been adapting into how that should be the same with
yeah,
person as well.
yeah.
Right. Great. My next question is, if Imtiaz, if you can highlight any, challenges that you face in terms of ensuring the compliance for HR and IT in terms of collaboration solutions that were provided for the users. So any compliance challenges that you faced around that?
Yeah, so definitely. So you must be talking in work from home environment,
Correct.
right?
Exactly. In the
Yeah. So definitely those are the challenges that we have seen in the beginning of the lockdown or the pandemic when we started work from home, and there are so many challenges, so and which resulted or affected the performance or or a compliance, meeting compliance, because we the remote user one the supervisor faces challenges monitoring how they are using their applications and tools, um, and for the HR compliance, their attendance. So when they are joining, when they are not on system, working on a system, there are many other HR compliance that they were worried about initially, about about the work timings and the employment itself. So maybe one can may not maybe one can do a dual employment kind of things, and there are so many other challenges. Despite the major problem that we face is the performance, which we will recover in in 1 month or two at the start of pandemic. But yes, so we have implemented few monitoring tools, so for their screen monitoring, and we have some processes that needs to be PCI compliant. So we have we have purchased and implemented few tools that monitor the whether the where someone is taking some picture of the display device or not. And there are so many tools that we recently invested to monitor those things. But yes, work from home monitoring and and having it compliance is going to be a real bit challenge in future. And let's see, we have more more strong or a powerful tools that come in to monitor. Yes, we have recently heard that some organization started putting webcam to their work office area in at home. Yeah, so those are the challenges that everyone has to face. Either we have to design or we have to do our process modified so that it would not require so many of that strong security measures or like so definitely
Got it.
sorry for that. Yeah,
True. In fact, you're right. In just going forward is going to be only the hybrid workspace, right? So
yeah,
we will not have 100% work from home, or we will not have 100% work from office. We
yeah,
need to have the combination of it. And any organization for that matter has to get ready for that, right? Like what you
yeah,
called out, be it the security aspect of it, or the business important aspect of it, even the safety aspect of it, and the technology should actually get enabled to that level, right? It should be
yeah,
seamless across, right?
yeah,
It shouldn't be like there is a different technology in the office and there is a completely different technology in work from home. And synchronizing this is always going to be a challenge. How technology is going to play is where I think Tata Communication has got a part into it. There are many other organizations which actually started building solutions, devices for the work from home scenarios, as you might be knowing it, right?
yeah,
Be it the video unit, it's all become vendor agnostic devices today. It doesn't need to be particular OEM dependent devices. It can work on any devices, and how that is actually getting enabled even at the work from home scenario for the organizations, for the end user, and even to the customers is where Tata Communication has been have a great focus, and we are already have a couple of customer installation done, which has been working good, which has been successful so far. Maybe what we would like to understand from you is that you rightly said when moving from pandemic or from a regular BAU business to a pandemic, everybody has to move to work from home scenarios, and then you need to ensure that applications works in a seamless way in the work from home scenarios, right? For example, voice, most of the voice is actually coming to the office premise or on-prem PBX, where the agents are connected to or the enterprise users are connected to. But in a scenario of pandemic and lockdown, all that has to be at the end user's house, right? How this
yeah,
can be managed effortlessly, smoothly, without violating the regulation aspect of it, without incurring additional costs or spending too much around it, is where the player like Tata Communication had value to larger ecosystem in the market. I hope that's been
yeah,
already Personiv as well. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, Jay, right. You are right. So we have been, utilizing for one of our, process that Tata has many, in terms of, network and connectivity. Tata has many, much optimized solutions that can, enhance the overall performance. Like for one process, we had to, move the on-premise solutions to work from home only. So we, started VPN connections and then and then pre-routed the traffic so that it can be fast faster than the regular internet connection. So that Tata has helped us in order to get it work from home seamlessly in the beginning of that pandemic, and we have been utilizing those products from Tata. Yeah.
Awesome. Great. My next question is, Imtiaz, around what will be your contact center's working model ahead, for better customer service?
So definitely, since it has already been started, and the overall, the thinking process of the workforce has changed. So and for a better, so it is all about the satisfaction of the agent or the workforce that is providing services to customers.
Right.
And that will indirectly enhance the better customer experience at the first place, when you are very much in voice business, right?
Yeah.
For the others, there may be some tools or some some platforms that enhance the customer experience. But for our process wise process, the way our live agent interact with the end customer is the only thing that we look into. and the way the thinking of the larger population has been changed. So the concept of work from anywhere or a hybrid, 2 days in office, 3 days in office, or 5 days, 3 days at home, will eventually become a new norm, and all contact center has to go to that model. And we have recently seen the DOT guidelines has been relaxed,
Yeah.
which were very strict in past, that we cannot have, or we can have, but with a very 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 limited, we have to work very limited when we provide our agents to work from home. But recently, those norms were relaxed. New cloud solutions are getting into into the market with higher performance. No doubt, on-premise the solutions have better performance, have been better in performance than the cloud model, because in VoIP and internet connection based on that. So there may be a challenge, like Jay rightly said in the beginning. So it depends upon the nature of the calling in voice business. If some can be managed by cloud model solutions, some cannot be managed by cloud model, and on-premise model, MPLS and other connectivity is required. Like in one process, we dial around 150,000 calls per day. So
Okay.
that cannot be very much possible or optimized in cloud model. That is why we have on-premise and the very extensive telephony infrastructures from Tata. So that is going work from home. Hybrid mixed mode will eventually be a new norm, and it will be and all contact center should should think how they will be managing the performance compliances on that environment or a setup. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Jay, would love to get your thoughts as well on this. I mean, what should be the best practices, that you recommend to the customers for the sake? Jay, sorry, you're on mute.
Thanks. Yeah. In fact, part of it we heard it from Imtiaz, and the best practices, and it is based on how we've been interacting with multiple organizations, starting from large organizations, global organizations, even to domestic small BPOs. The one of the important thing is that when it comes to it's all technology, right? Today they have one technology which is currently working on was working in during the pre-pandemic period. There was a pandemic situation happened, and we will wanna see the new norm, which is after the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
In all this, what we need to look at is that how the technology enabling the business and the organizations to run with the speed that business demands, right? In that aspect, technology should extend the better user experience, customer experience. It should give the benefit of scalability. It should actually give scale up and scale down benefit as the business demands. It should give the better customer experience. It should offer them the better TCO, total cost of ownership, and savings to it. So when we look at all this parameter, how much of the business, how much of the technology one can move to cloud is where the organization has to be seriously thought through and look at adopting it. It is not that, so I've seen some other organizations move to the cloud, so I'm also moving to the cloud. I think that shouldn't be the right strategy. The right strategy is that obviously one has to move to the cloud. Of that, what is that I have to move immediately as the first phase, and then second phase, or eventually what should be the working model aligned to the business, aligned to the business strategy and company strategy, right? Like what we heard it from Imtiaz, there will always be some part of the workforce has to work from home. It could be 20% for some company, it could be 50% for some company, because during the pandemic, there were 100%. I know I don't want to name the company. It was about a huge SI, global SI company, based it headquartered in India. They have got about 5 lakh employees. Those who do not have a maybe I should say 0% work from home policy. When the pandemic hit, within 3 weeks period, they have to move to 100% work from home policy. Right? That's the situation. Right. There is no options to them.
True.
That's the situation. But going forward, we need to go and manage the situation for the organization business. And that depends on, and then we have a solutions basically on a modular. It can be a one single step, 100% migration to the cloud, or I would like to move some part of the cloud, some part of the technology into the cloud, or at least I would like to move only one particular application or few applications into the cloud. And even cloud, there is a private cloud, and there is a pure public cloud, and a multi-cloud, right? So this is specific to a particular organization business requirement. Like what Imtiaz said, it should be aligned to a organization's client recommend as well. So what Personiv's end clients looking at, how are we compliant to it, how we can actually manage the TCO experience, and all of this has to play. There is a multifaceted approach one has to look when they have to look at the cloud migration. And that's what we've been seeing in the market. And that's been, at least I've seen the larger organizations are already moved towards it. A couple of them are actually front runner in that cloud migration space, and a couple of them are actually catching up on it.
Awesome. I think these have been wonderful insights. I just have one last question for both Imtiaz and Jay. Imtiaz, to begin with you first. Any best practices, any do's and don'ts for our viewers in the industry, your peers, any learnings that you would like to share? That'd be great.
So yeah, so for the biggest learning that we have is think, start early thinking or preparing for whatever may happen. So like the decision of this lockdown and happened all of a sudden, and the organization which were not prepared at that time in terms of hybrid cloud and the work from home readiness, they faced those losses or the disruption in business. And they, so always prepared, always thinks ahead, and if it is not required immediately, but have something in place going on to get, like Jay said. So it may be, some part you can start, deploying it if you are not even using it or it is not the immediate requirement, but be prepared whatever happened. So like we have, so we in our infrastructure everything, and we have a technology of Tata already in place. So we face no to minimal disruption in business. So all VPN, got started. We have delivered systems at lock. So system delivery is the very, critical or a very, impossible thing at the lockdown. So some government approvals were required and then everything. So, but with the technology, or the technology thing, so we are well prepared before, ahead of this, this happened, and we have no to minimal downtime. Even if we are 100% on voice, processes and we are using technologies, voice technologies. So yeah, so this is the best practice. Always keep maybe 15 to 25% of your budget for the next things to happen in the next 5 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. In fact, I would like to second what Imtiaz quoted, but I would like to quote it with the substantiations, right? The global analyst report says when it comes to the digital transformation, or the cloud migration or the technology front runners, there are 5 stages that they are actually categorizing, classifying the organizations into. The 5 categories are like silo, enhanced, integrated, unified, and transformed. Transformed. These are the 5 stages based on how the individual organization has actually adopted or moved into a technology. Siloed are organizations which is still a conventional technology consuming companies where there isn't even an IP technologies, there is no video technologies. It's completely an analog TDM kind of stories. Vis-a-vis on the transformed, it's a completely a digital transformed organizations wherein there isn't any lag or any trailing behind on the technology aspect, and it also addresses the multiple aspect of the business, be it customer experience, user experience, productivity, agent efficiency, TCO saving, and so on and so forth. So that's the other extreme of it. What analyst says that, and then which we also as organization recommend is that be at the last 2 stages of the classification, either be unified or a transform stage, so that you will at least manage the situation when there is a situation like pandemic hits. You will not have a lot of disturbances to the business, lot of impact to the business. And that shows that data report as well. The report says that those who are in the initial first three stages, siloed, enhanced, and integrated, they got a huge impact when the pandemic hits. But when it comes to the unified and the transformed classified customers, they manage the situation with zero effort or less effort. So that's what I should say. That's a best practices one organization has to look at.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great. I think wonderful insights, Jay and Imtiaz. Good key takeaways for our viewers. Thank you so much once again for joining on our platform on CIO News and sharing all your best practices with us. Thank you, Imtiaz, for taking out time. Thanks, Jay, once again.
Thank you, Khushbu, and I would like to take this opportunity once again. Thanks, cios, for sharing the session with us.
Yeah, thanks, Jay. Thanks, Khushbu, for the wonderful session. So it is it is really a very insightful, and things most of the Jay's illustration is very meaningful and learning. So thanks to Jay and Khushbu for your time.
Absolutely.
Okay.